Hi, this is Keith Weaver with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast, where CEOs, COOs, and business owners share strategies for better success. This is 6 questions in 9 minutes because the best strategies are concise business advice. And we're going to get right to our guest today. And in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Jolene, and I own a marketing business in Colorado, right outside of Denver, called Refreshing Solutions. And I also am a productivity expert, and I'm publishing my next book called The Productive Mompreneur, which is releasing in April.
Awesome. A lot of good experience, and you've had some good success. So we look forward to gleaning some of those insights. So,
Definitely.
Question number 2, what's the best thing about being a business leader?
So my favorite thing is mostly that I feel like I have the freedom to put my ideas and my creative energy out into the world. I also really like that I'm able to make a positive impact in my community. Each year I adopt a small business locally around Denver, and I help them with a foot-and-mouth marketing initiative for free, it's just a really great experience for everybody.
That's really cool. One, I think there's a lot more interest, it seems, particularly with the younger generation, but as we evolve in our society, that people really like those businesses that give back, that are interested in the community and not just profit. And, it makes a huge difference for the community and in our society. So that's great.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course.
So question number 3, I hear from other business leaders that their people strategy can be more of a challenge sometimes in their business than their actual business strategy. Your thoughts?
So yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to that. It's interesting because you can build up all these strategies and learn tips and tools over the years, just in terms of, running a business, accounting, etc. But it's a lot harder to learn to read people. And it's the best way I've kind of found to go about it is I just think back to how I would have wanted my managers to treat me when I was younger, and just kind of learning all the different tools of the trade and different positions in marketing that you can do. So I think that helps a lot. I regularly ask my employees, what are you interested in? What would you like to work on? How do you feel you did? How can we make things better? That sort of thing. And that open communication really helps a lot. But it is definitely a skill that takes time to learn, just like learning how to run, an accounting piece of software.
Right. Well, and I like that kind of a little bit of the golden rule there, right? Treat others the way you want to be treated. And for a lot of people, I think that's good advice, that, the way we wanted to be led when we were an employee, that's a good way to try to lead other people.
Yeah, for sure.
So question number 4, what strategy would you like to share with other business leaders today?
So I'm a bit of a productivity nerd, and so I love all things productivity. Anything I can do, I work at home. I have, my son is 9.5, and so anything I can do to make our lives go smoother is just exactly what I need in my life. So the thing that made the biggest difference for me, I read about in a book called The Productivity Project by Chris Bailey. And he talks about something called your biological prime time. And what this is everybody has a time of day when they feel most productive. So that might be in the morning, the afternoon, or the middle of the night. For me, I like to get up at the crack of dawn because that's when nobody else in my house is awake and it's quiet and I can hear myself think. So that's, the best way that you can kind of figure out your own time. I always thought I was an afternoon kind of person, and I ended up being a morning person. So it's recommended that you just kind of like make notes of your energy levels throughout the day and when you're getting the most stuff done. And that's the time when you should eat your biggest frogs for the day, so to say. And so it's really just made a huge difference in my life because I can just kind of plow through all that stuff. And then the rest of the day just kind of flows a lot smoother and effortlessly, which is a great feeling.
That's great advice. I don't know. Have you read a book called Win? I'm trying to think of who the author is. a lot of the same concepts about, finding out your own schedule, so to speak, and working around that. But I know, particularly for creative people, there's definitely a time when their creative side is much more robust and energetic kind of a thing. And it makes a huge difference when they're capitalizing on that creative portion of their energy when, they're trying to be creative and come up with all kinds of new innovative stuff.
That's absolutely true. I always say we do a lot of social media management at our business. And so I tend to save a lot of that graphic design work for in the mornings, because if I get to it in the afternoon, I honestly, I will just stare at my screen and say, I don't know what to write about. So it really does. It makes a huge difference. And so I try to take advantage of it when I can.
Well, I think we all would like some added time back in our life, right? And if you can do something in an hour instead of 2 hours, why not, save that extra hour?
That would be amazing.
Exactly.
And that book you mentioned, I've heard of it. I haven't read it, but the other one it kind of reminded me of is Miracle Morning, which is one of my other favorite books. And for those who aren't familiar, you get up about an hour before you normally would, and then you take time to either exercise or write or do something to better yourself. And so for me, I like to work on my own like passive income type of things before I get up in the morning too, which is really satisfying to start your day off that way. Makes you feel like you're ahead of the game before the day's even started.
Right. Some great strategies and tips. I love it. All right. So question number 5, what other successful business owners or CEOs like yourself would you like to maybe do a shout out to, or you think would be good on the podcast?
Yeah. So I actually have 2. One, her name is Jerry Morgan, and they're both Coloradans. I can't help it. But so she is a IT expert, and she's also an Amazon bestseller. She owns an IT business in Colorado, and she helps a lot of people in her community. She's actually on her Chamber of Commerce's, she's the chair president. So she's just got a ton of great insight, not just into IT, but also just into business in general. And then my other one is Catherine McGraw-Patterson from the Weibo Network in Denver. And what Weibo is it essentially is an organization that helps women business owners to kind of find the resources and information they need to grow their businesses, and kind of connects them with the right people, that kind of thing. And she is, sorry, my inbox is blowing up while we're talking. She actually just launched something called an e-chapter, which is really cool. So it's essentially a women's networking organization, but it's national now. So they host different like seminars and classes, and it's just a really awesome resource. And I could talk about them both for days, but I won't.
Well, we'll have to look up both of them and see if we can get them on. That would be great to hear their insights.
Yes, definitely.
So kind of a final fun question. Tell me about one of your favorite past bosses.
So this was kind of an interesting question to answer, just because I was thinking back to the beginning when I had said that I like to treat my employees the way I wish I would have been treated when I was their age, or at that stage in their career. And the honest truth is I haven't had a ton of great bosses, but I have had a few that I'm still friends with on social media. And then I have one boss that really kind of stood out in particular. And the reason why is because she is the boss that kind of gave me that mindset to give opportunities out, to push people out of their comfort zones, that sort of thing. She did that for me, and it was the first time anyone had ever done that for me. And she was just very confident in my abilities. And it was a very large company. It was at CenturyLink in their marketing department. So, and the thing that I also really thought was fantastic about her was that one, it became time when I was kind of starting to think about starting my own business and branching out on my own. She was super accommodating and supportive, and she kind of gave me that wiggle room to do what I needed to do to get comfortable before I kind of moved on and made that transition. So that really was very meaningful, because not a lot of companies would do that. They would just say, all right, just turn in your 2 weeks. And she just told me to take my time and do what I needed to do. So
That's a cool story. And the sad part of that story is it sounds like it's real easy to stand out as a good leader because there's so many bad ones to compare to, right? That it doesn't necessarily take a whole lot to become a good leader sometimes if you're just trying and doing those things, because unfortunately there are a lot of negative or bad leaders out there, or bosses, so to speak.
well, and the point of a leader is to lead. So you shouldn't be trying to push others down. You
Right.
should be encouraging them to grow. So um, I'm glad that she was my boss, and that I learned those lessons earlier rather than later, for sure.
That's great. Great story. Well, thank you so much for being on and talking with us. Before we go, can you tell people how they might be able to get a hold of you?
Yeah, of course. So my website is listed on the podcast, but you can also find me at refreshing-solutions.com. Or if you're interested in productivity tips and strategies, I post a ton of them on my social media, give out all kinds of free resources and downloads, and I don't even ask for your email address, which I know is crazy, but that's over at theproductivemompreneur.com. It's a mouthful, but you'll get there if you kind of Google it a little bit. So that's the best way to reach me. If you happen to be interested in marketing, you can also reach me at 720-600-4499.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much for your time and your insights.
Yes, thank
And
you for having me.
our pleasure. And this is Keith Weaver with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast. And for more insights and to follow us, you can follow us at Weaver Business Coaching, find us on LinkedIn, and of course, listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. And we wish you all the best success.